Today's horrifying story is from anonymous Reddit user from Scarborough, Western Australia. You are going to hear story from his perspective.
When I was in my first year out of school, my older brother and I moved into a small 2-story apartment in Scarborough, Western Australia. It was relatively cheap and in a great location, with the only drawback being that the apartment seemed half-finished in places. There were quite a few outdoor areas that were crumbling away, and even some of the walls in the upstairs area had sections of the wall unpainted. We were apparently the first tenants since a renovation. Our parents would come and stay with us from time to time, and we still talk about our weird experiences in that place today. It always had an eerie feeling to it, with random rooms at odd angles and a very uncomfortable aura, for want of a better word. The biggest feeling I had at the time was that I always felt like I was going to look down the staircase from the top living area and see someone run past. I don't know why I even thought that, but my parents said it was one of the first things that I said to them about the place. It all started one Friday night when I was staying home with my mum. We were both sitting on the couch watching TV at about 9 p.m. with only the lampshade and a kitchen light on. We both felt something really odd that I've never felt before or since, like all of the air was getting sucked out of the room, or there was a pressure change or something similar. We felt like we couldn't move, and it was like we were stuck in place. A shadow then appeared on the wall to the back left of the TV, about the size of a small person, but almost just looked like a blob in a vague shape of a human. It moved diagonally up the wall to the left, as if it was climbing a set of stairs. It then disappeared, and we spent the rest of the night in hysterics, leaving the house until my brother and dad returned a few hours later. What must have been a few weekends later, another encounter occurred. I had just been at the cinemas watching a film with some friends. The film was White Noise, around 2005, and was based on hearing ghosts speak to you through the static of an untuned radio. It was a pretty average movie, but an interesting idea. That night, while asleep in bed, my clock radio turned on max volume right next to my head at about 1 a.m. It was 10 seconds of chaos as I tried to turn off the radio alarm, but nothing was turning off the sound. In my half-asleep state, I didn't think to pull it out of the wall. After about 10 seconds, it finally turned off. I somehow went back to sleep, but I remember at the time knowing that it was the scariest thing that had ever happened to me, and that I had just encountered something. The next morning, I woke up to find the cord for the alarm clock in the middle of the room under my bed, nowhere near the wall. Not long after that encounter, we had some friends around for some drinks in our main living room and had another incident. An old CD player of my brother's was sitting on the table and turned on max volume all of a sudden, playing with weird Indian sitar-sounding music. Needless to say, it scared the hell out of everyone in the room, if not only because of the loud noise out of nowhere. At another point during the night, the sound of a girl screaming came from upstairs and was eventually explained away by one of my friends as coming from a neighbor's house, even though it felt like it was directly above us. Another instance occurred on an evening when my mum was staying with us and my brother and dad were away. We had a table tennis table in our garage that was connected to the house through the laundry. I had fallen asleep on the couch and woke up at about 2 a.m. I went to the laundry to have a drink of water from the tap and could hear people playing table tennis beyond the door to the garage. I was basically frozen in fear. I put my ear right up to the door and could hear the sounds of a game being played, but I knew that myself and Mum were the only ones in the apartment. I retreated and went to bed, knowing that I was too weak to open the door and confront whatever was in there. I somehow fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and went downstairs for breakfast. The first thing Mum says to me is, "How late were you and your friends up playing table tennis last night?" I got up to go to the toilet at 3 a.m. and could hear a game going on in there, so that was pretty spine-tingling. The last story that I can think of at the moment is when I was at a friend's house one night and received a phone call from my brother at home. As I answered, he said, "How drunk are you? I can hear you rattling the keys in the door." I explained that I was a friend's house, to which he replied, "Shit," and hung up. He calls me back 5 minutes later and explained that as soon as he hung up, he heard what sounded like a large animal run along the side of the house from the front, along the side fence, and within seconds was knocking aggressively at the back door. He went to the back door and there was nothing there.